Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, the legendary gaming reporter Howard Stutz joins us for the whole show on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Safety. We all think about it. You think about it when he buckles in, when you check your mirrors and put away your phone. RTC thinks about safety too. In fact, we create it. Center turn lanes mean fewer blind spots. Bike lanes keep cyclists and you safe. Roundabouts reduce injury collisions. And all these crosswalks are designed to keep families like yours safe. Safety is your priority, and it's ours too. Every day, in everything we do.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Before the masks, before the distancing, before the world changed, UMC was ready. Our response to COVID-19 began before the crisis did, with our own team of infectious disease experts who've spent their careers planning for this moment. With a pandemic response plan, we'd practiced again and again, and by blazing new trails in large-scale testing, including every patient we admit. Always ready. UMC.
Nevada Newsmakers Studio is located at the headquarters of the Nevada Trucking Association. Motion and purpose are a truck's greatest virtue.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're delighted to welcome to our studios in Northern Nevada, Howard Stutz. He is gaming reporter for the Nevada Independent, the best gaming reporter on the planet. Always a pleasure to have you back on the program.
Thanks,
sir.
and happy to be in Reno. Happy to be doing the show in Reno and not on Zoom, not in some weird studio in Vegas, and here in Reno with you. So here.
Well, it is a pleasure. It's amazing after all these years that this is the first time we've actually done it together in Reno in person.
Right. I mean, I'd go on TV, into his TV studio, and we'd be, satellite in together. So yeah, getting a little taste of Northern Nevada weather today, in the last couple of days too.
Yes, welcome to winter. All right, so you have been in Northern Nevada the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you can share with us so far before you start writing the stories?
Well, the main thing was I was up here for personal reasons for the wedding of Riley Snyder and Michelle Rendell's from the Nevada Independent. But I spent some time in Tahoe. Want to see South Tahoe, the recovery since they've been shut down for 2 weeks, and it's two of the biggest weeks of the year for that market, and what that comeback looks like. And it's an interesting market in South Tahoe. It's three operators.
And by the way, we should just mention we're now talking about the fire.
The Calder fire, while they were shut down, not COVID. They were on a gangbusters this year. They were really making a strong comeback in South Tahoe. So I wanted to see what they've broken ground on the event center. I want to see what that construction looks like. The old one time Caesars Tahoe, now Mount Blue. It's still Mount Blue. That will become Bally's Lake Tahoe at some point. But you have three operators. Caesars has two of the properties, and the Hard Rock and Bally's, all working together, trying to help bring the market back. And they're feeling good about it as move forward. Maybe there was a little a little foreshadowing because we got some snow on Monday, so Heavenly might be able to open eventually here soon at some point. So this is how this market is going to rebound, after that kind of a 2-week lull like that, for that happening, because of the fire. And they also want to get the message out, Sam. National media, it's placed up as like fire in Lake Tahoe. The fire never it was about 4 or 5 miles away the closest, and never burn right to the lake shore. So that's something, a message they want to get out too.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, it was always interesting over the years, and this was the same story for Lake Tahoe and also the Carson Valley, was that previous owners would say, oh, Indian gaming is killing us and we don't have the traffic on the freeways and all this. And it wasn't until in Carson Valley Mike Pegram came in and really boosted that property just by cleaning it up and then putting in great amenities. But I always felt that, you know, I don't care how great a Native American casino is in California, they have Lake Tahoe. Yeah. I mean, come on, it's one of the most beautiful places on the planet.
Exactly. And
how can you not be successful there?
And what's interesting is because Harrah's Tahoe, Hard Rock Lake Tahoe, there's a Hard Rock now in Sacramento. And they're different operators. You know, Diana Bennett, Paragon Gaming operates Harrah's Hard Rock Lake Tahoe. Tribal operators, they operate the casino in California side. But they do kind of work together because it's still the Hard Rock brand. So yeah, you have that. You once you come over that hill and you see Lake Tahoe, that's kind of the selling point. And it doesn't seem like that the California tribal casinos are damaging Northern Nevada the way they did 20-something years ago when they first launched.
And that was because there was benign neglect, because Nevada had owned it for so long and Northern Nevada had owned it for so long that they didn't feel the need to do the upgrades that were necessary and the marketing was necessary. They just kind of threw up their hands and said, oh, we're going to get killed. And you know, that was the way it ended up happening.
And it's interesting because I'm spending some time in Reno now. I'm working on I'm going to tour, after we're done with this show, I'm going to actually tour the Reno City Center project, the old Harrah's, just to see what it looks like inside there. I'm talking to Jacobs this week about what they're doing. So much of the development in Reno now is non-gaming. It really is a focus of, whether it's mixed-use development, housing, retail, restaurants, more attractions. That's where the market seems to be headed with Reno because of all your technology and high-tech businesses and manufacturing that's going on out here. That seems to be the direction where Reno's going. There's still going to be gaming. I mean, the row was pretty crowded this weekend when I got in.
Oh, the Italian festival.
Yeah, the Italian. I mean, it's a very, there's still, obviously Atlantis, obviously Peppermill. There's big properties here that are still doing well.
Grand Sierra Resort.
Grand Sierra's made a big comeback. So Morello.
Monarch, is just
huge. there's just that's where the change really seems to be with Reno is more non-gaming. So I'm kind of focusing on those two stories while I'm up here.
Yeah, and it is an interesting story because it's kind of cloudy because yes, absolutely, you're 100% correct. Reno has diversified its economy in the Reno area. It's not just Reno, but the Reno area. But when you talk to the gaming operators, A, it was survival of the fittest. But B, it is still a big deal in terms of money coming into the marketplace and taxes being paid. I mean, the row is 4,000 rooms in downtown Reno. 4,000. Whoever, Kirk Kerkorian dreamed of it, but only built 2,000 out of the 4,000 he could have potentially done. And I still think that there's opportunity in South Reno that nobody has really taken advantage of beyond Tamarack Junction to do something between South Reno and Carson City.
I think it's really it's a sign of with the economy, with what the focus will be on downtown for the time being, and then we'll see how it moves out. That's how it was in Vegas. They focused on the Strip, and then there's been movement outside of the market. That's really they're going to focus, it seems, on this area first, and then we'll move forward.
No, I couldn't agree more. But I mean, it is. Having lived here for over 40 years, it has been amazing to see what has occurred in the last decade. And you go to some of the mixed retail developments and housing developments that are going on, the former Park Lane Mall, the former Shopper Square, downtown Sparks. There are cities growing up within the city, which is, Dina Titus would be very thrilled because it's her ring around the valley. But
right, we'll see that.
All right, just one more thing about Tahoe. So Larry Ellison bought Calneva a couple of years ago. Any word about what's going on up there and when that might
I didn't get over to Incline Village. I didn't go over that side. It's a much smaller market. And then I saw today that Tahoe Biltmore was sold. So That's a market. They weren't hit as much. They did get some, they did see some drop in visitation during the Calder fire. Didn't have to close like the South Tahoe market did. It's a much smaller market. Full House Resorts operates the casino at the Hyatt. That's Dan Lee's company out of Las Vegas. We'll see what happens up there. Cal Neva's got the history. Hopefully something will happen with that to move forward. It hasn't in a long time.
They certainly have the money.
They got the money,
and Mr. Ellison can take it out of the couch.
Well, hopefully we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'd love to see Incline Village, that whole area, do much better.
Yeah, and that part is actually Crystal Bay, more of the North Tahoe region. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Lots more to talk to you about. Maybe we won't be able to cram it all in. We'll be right back.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and Twitter. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Modern boutique Ahern Hotel and Events Center in Las Vegas. Host meetings and events on 2 floors. Stay in luxurious rooms and suites. Unlimited branding opportunities. Regional Italian cuisine by Chef Mark Segrisi. Flexible event spaces. Full buyout options. Visit ahernhotel.com today.
I'm Jeff Gehrman, an investigative reporter with the Las Vegas Review-Journal. I'm your guide for Season 2 of Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas.
You're in with every gangster and hoodlum in the United States.
I don't go for that, Mr. Kennedy. I don't go for that kind of action.
I was on television accused of fronting for the mob.
Subscribe to Mobbed Up, The Fight for Las Vegas, Season 2, today on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
7 at 7 is available anytime, anywhere.
I'm Riley Smith with your Vegas Golden Knights. Watch 7 minutes of nonstop news from the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Streaming on LVRJ.com and YouTube. Powered by the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Howard Stutz. He's the gaming reporter for the Nevada Independent. Okay, so Jan Jones said on this program, after Caesars had announced, once it was taken over by Eldorado, that they were not going to be doing international and Japan was off the table. And she came on the program and said they're not going to do it now, but potentially in the future. Now we are hearing reports that they definitely do have an interest in Japan. But the one that really caught my eye was that Bill Widener is part of a conglomerate that is hooking up with a Japanese company. And I just thought to myself, gee, did they hear about what happened to the Lucky Dragon?
Well, that's where Caesars is going. They announced, kind of took everybody by surprise. An announcement comes out. Day after MGM was approved by Osaka, was made. That is the project that's going forward, that they're going to pitch to the Japanese government, MGM Osaka. And if you look at the renderings of that, it looks like some type of utopia type design. You know, it's amazing what they want to do on this island. The next day, Caesars puts out an announcement and said they've joined this group, this consortium that includes Bill Widener and all the former Sands people, Brad Stone, others, in down south of Osaka, that they're going to pitch this project. The key was Caesars in the release said there's no financial commitment now, I think. So it is kind of funny after all this time when Tom Reeg, the day they announced the deal with Eldorado, announced the merger with Caesars, Tom Reeg says we're done with international. We're going to take Japan off the table. He later on, about a year later, he told analysts on a conference call, South Korea project is done. The fact that they jumped into this international project is fascinating. I think it's just kind of let's see what happens. You know, they can use they're basically using the Caesars name is what they're doing to Caesars in Japan. We'll see where this goes, but it is an interesting mix. Caesars, Bill Widener, the Lucky Dragon was a complete disaster for Bill Widener. He's built these projects in Macau, for Sands. It's the same team that built all of Sheldon's projects for him. Brad Stone was the person behind building the Palazzo in Vegas, so and Venetian. So I think it's a let's wait and see, but it kind of took me by surprise that Caesars got back into it.
Well, I just recall, I've never been one to doubt Jan Jones, and when she said, "For now," I wrote that down and said, "Okay, just keep that in the back of your mind."
Jan really was the forefront for Caesars in Japan. I mean, she probably spent a good, the last decade, spent so much time over there, making the inroads for Caesars. Even during all the problems when the company, when the company was going through its bankruptcy reorganization, under the CEO, then the new CEO after that, Mark Fasora, even during the Carl Icahn stuff, she was still, moving forward with it, moving Caesars forward in Japan. So it is kind of fun to see them back into it again.
And remember that she also spent time in recent years in Brazil and Greece on behalf of Caesars prior to the merger. Investigating opening properties there. So you never know what could come out of that.
That's true.
All right, so how much did the Cosmopolitan sell for?
Cosmopolitan sold for what? About $1.8 million. Was that the sale price? I think that Blackstone. No. Excuse me. Blackstone is, I think about $4 billion they're selling it for.
Right.
If I'm correct.
I think it's actually a little bit higher for that.
Maybe.
But we'll just even throw in the $4 billion number. So that, and how many rooms is that? About 3,000?
About 4,000 rooms.
4,000, okay.
3,000 rooms maybe. I'm kind of off my top of my head here. 3,000 rooms. MGM's going to operate it. And this was 13 years ago. Jim Murin had the idea of, when he was trying to finance City Center, he went to the Deutsche Bank, which owned Cosmopolitan, was building it, and said, "We'll take it. Give us $1.2 billion in a loan to help finish City Center, and we'll eventually make it part of the next phase of City Center." Well, now MGM's going to operate it.
All right, but here's my point,
sure,
which is juxtapose that with what Las Vegas Sands sold, the Venetian, Palazzo, and the Convention Center, and the Sphere, and then explain to me how that makes any sense. Because I still think that they sold that whole series of properties for way less than they were valued.
I think you and I talked about this before.
We did.
And
I've just now got that Cosmopolitan valuation, and it's like, this still does not make any sense to me.
If I could make sense of it, I'd probably be doing financial work rather than reporting on it. I wasn't surprised by we weren't surprised by the Sands sale. We knew once Sheldon passed away, he was already put that into motion before he passed away. I mean, they announced they were looking to sell the properties, to sell Vegas and just focus on Macau and Singapore. The Cosmopolitan had been on the market. Blackstone had been on the market for a while. Now remember, Blackstone is selling it also to their own real estate investment trust. So there could be some maneuvering there. Plus, with MGM getting involved, to be honest, I think I like MGM as the operator of the Cosmopolitan more than I like Apollo as the operator of the Sands properties. And because I don't know about Apollo as an operator. They've not.
Their track record is not good.
Not very good. There's a book out right now called The Caesars Palace Coup that I've been reading. It's about all the bankruptcy of Caesars Entertainment under Apollo, TPG, under the last that whole back in that was resolved in 2017. I don't. It's a monopoly game lately on the Strip. With MGM wanting to move just into pure operations, selling all their land and real estate, all the buildings to MGM Growth, which is now being purchased by Vici. It's kind of a change in dynamics in the operation. Maybe the Blackstone properties. Blackstone sees Cosmopolitan right at the heart of the Strip. That value, of the land right there. Maybe a little, the Sands properties, a little bit off Strip. But you have to operate that convention center. That's the key with Sands is they got to keep that convention center moving forward for, the new operator has to do that because that's a big piece of the business for that property.
Right. But on the other hand, Las Vegas Sands was and is looking at Texas, which they got blown out of recently, Florida, New York. So it's not like they were getting out of the U.S. gaming business. I still do not have this picture in my mind. And especially when you have Resorts World coming in and using the Las Vegas Sands, plan, which is of an integrated resort and huge expansion possibilities, why it made sense for Las Vegas Sands to get out of Las Vegas. And especially when they had, if it was a company that was on the edge as far as money, that would make sense to me in one way. But it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, and I don't think
Still.
Sands can do Texas, Florida, without having a property in Las Vegas. You need that traction to bring those customers that you get in Texas and in Florida. You need to bring them to Vegas. The international, they're not going to be flying those big jets into Las Vegas anymore with their big players. They're going to keep them in Macau and Singapore. And then with all the problems Macau going through right now, you wonder if they had to do it over again, would there be a do-over there? I think.
And then look at the stock price. The stock price
is
dropped
very
in half.
low. I just think there were a couple of things to this. That Miriam is the majority owner. She's about 58% of the company. She inherited a Sheldon's stake. I think she wants to go back to Israel. I don't think she really, they can operate a Macau, Singapore company from Vegas easily. They're going to just move out of the Venetian. They're already building corporate offices up in I think the Summerlin area now. It's the focus that they put into place. It was obviously put into place during before Mr. Adelson passed away, and that's the way they're headed. They're also looking at this digital idea that I don't know if I think they're a little late to the game on that. There's so many companies now involved in online gaming, online sports betting. It's going to be hard for them to break into this unless they turn around and just buy a company. But we'll see what happens.
Okay, so we're kind of operating all in the same territory here. So not too long ago, the next to Crystals is where the old Harmon used to be. 2 acres sold at $40 million an acre for $80 million, and they're going to build luxury stores in that property. At the same time, the Las Vegas Convention Authority sells 10 acres of prime land to a hotel casino for a fraction of that. So I was kind of stunned for $120 million. I mean, not that that's chopped liver, but at the same time, for a property that will have walk-in ability to the convention center, has strip facing, it seems like that would have been worth more. Maybe not $40 million an acre, but more than 120.
It's just, I think it's, you also remember those acreage at the old Harmon, that's attached to City Center. So that's the value there. Having that parcel being attached, and they're not doing gaming, they're doing, I think, retail and
right. Well, that's the other part of it is it potentially has less value. Listen, hang on. We have to take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Serving Our Kids Foundation's mission is to serve homeless, at-risk, and food insecure children in grades K through 8 throughout Southern Nevada. During the pandemic, Serving Our Kids has seen a 42% increase in the number of children served, providing more than 4,500 meals to kids in over 100 schools weekly. Serving Our Kids is powered by community support and volunteers. To learn how you can help, visit servingourkids.org.
Southwest Specialties has been making the homes and businesses of Nevada beautiful for more than 20 years. Their experienced designers and craftsmen create the walkways, backyards, water features, and a variety of outdoor cooking areas that add curb appeal and value to your investment. Call today or visit them at their website and see how they can make your outdoor spaces special. Southwest Specialties, creative, distinctive, beautiful.
The Do It Right guys at Nevada Heating have one mission. Your furnace breaks down today, we fix it today. Why freeze for days while your furnace is down when Nevada Heating can get the job done today and you can get warm again? For nearly 50 years, locally owned Nevada Heating has been getting the job done right. Call today at 323-5585 and we'll fix it today. That's 323-5585 or online at nevadaheating.com.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
Back on Nevada Newsmakers with Howard Stutz. He's the gaming reporter for the Nevada Independent. 1 minute, sports betting, go.
What about it? it's
exploding.
Flying. It's exploding. It's over it's over 30 states now that have it, that are operating it. I think you're going to see consolidation now of these companies. We already saw one. Golden Nugget sold. It was bought by DraftKings. I think that's their sports betting operation. I think that's what we're going to see next. Is there's so many operators involved. Caesars, you're going to have a big three or big four really. I think it's going to be DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, and Caesars. Then we're going to see what others do.
Not Bally's.
Bally's it's been a very slow launch for Bally. They're only in 2 states. They haven't not even in Nevada yet.
But they got Sinclair.
They got the deal with Sinclair. That's just basically it's getting their name out there. But the question is going to be, what they have to get operating first, and that's the next step. And they're only in a couple states, and they're not, like I said, they're not in Nevada. They're in states though without sports betting: California, Texas, Florida. Bally Sports is all over the place, but you can't take a bet. You can't make a bet there legally.
All right, so I will be in Las Vegas during December taping. I will see you then because we have a long list to continue. Always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you, and we'll be right back. Brian Culpa Photography was born in the rolling hills of Massachusetts, and now he can help you experience the stunning beauty of Nevada in a whole new way through the power of flight. Flying has always been a passion for Brian, and at Brian Culpa Photography, he can make your imagination soar. Brian has the creative mind and tools to tell your unique story. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great. Huh? You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Pro Group Management specializes in providing industries with the necessary components to satisfy and exceed workers' comp requirements. Every business has unique needs and specific regulations. Pro Group Management stays ahead of the curve, providing up-to-date services to keep your industry in top form. Discover how we simplify your tasks, improve efficiency, and reduce expense to keep you moving in a positive direction. Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. You can do that now these days. We'll see you on the next broadcast.